Let's try that again. I was muted. Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you all are having a great week. Today, we're here to talk about the big buzzword. Literally, you can't go more than a couple days without hearing about it if you read any or listen or watch any news. AI. Now, just a quick primer of who I am and what I do. My name is Logan Edmonds. I am the CEO of Tabernacle Technology Solutions. We are a small business to small medium enterprise IT and cybersecurity solutions company. We're all about making things more secure and making things more efficient. So, of course, we're going to be really into AI, and we're going to talk about that today. So, let's go ahead and pop this bad boy up here. Today's webinar topic is AI empowerment, boosting security and efficiency in business. I'm sure you're all wondering, okay, I hear a lot about this AI. What does this mean for me, right? Like, if you're a business owner or a business leader, AI can be anything, it sounds like, right? We're hearing about deep fakes. We're hearing about how AI might eventually replace jobs, or the military might be using it. But there's so much stuff. What actually is AI right now as we stand? Well, first off, let me ask a question. Why do you care? The first question I'm going to ask you is, and hold on, let's get that messed up. Does ignoring a threat make it go away? Does ignoring a threat make it go away? In the next 30 minutes, you can decide for yourself. Oops. Yes. Artificial intelligence, AI, is revolutionizing the way businesses operate. It currently is offering unprecedented opportunities for growth and efficiency. However, with these opportunities come inherent cybersecurity risks that need to be managed. So let's start with a couple things. What is AI, broadly speaking? Okay, start there. AI is a branch of computer science that aims to create systems capable of performing tasks that normally require human intelligence. These tasks include learning, reasoning, problem solving, perception, and language understanding. Language understanding, something that can understand what we're saying or what we're typing, if you play ChatGPT or Bard, what we're typing or saying, and understand it and translate that into real life actionable intel. It can do reasoning, it can figure out problems. We're going to do a demo in a minute, but hold tight. There's a difference, though, between general AI and what is generative AI. So generative AI is what you're hearing a lot about right now. So that's things like ChatGPT or Bard, or I was just at a conference yesterday, and the guy who thought Google Lambda was coming alive. The Lambda's I'll take that back. Just let's focus on GPT and Bard for the moment. Generative AI is a subset of AI that can create new content. It learns from a set of data, it understands patterns, and can generate similar but unique content. A great example of this, and I'm sure you guys have all seen articles or video clips, things like music, news articles, images, or even just general chatbot responses. Generative AI can learn from whatever you give it and generate responses on it, is the TLDR, too long didn't read, version of generative AI and what its definition is. What kind of things can generative AI? So right now, let's narrow our focus to generative AI. What can it do in a small business? It can do all kinds of cool stuff. It can do content creation for a marketing campaign. It can personalize customer interactions through chatbots with no human interaction. It can do predictive analysis for business trends. Maybe you got some fiscal trends or sales trends it can do for you. And of course, the big one we hear a lot about, it can automate repetitive tasks. Let's go ahead and give a demonstration. You're all here for that, right? So my company has been hard at work, and I'm going to give you guys the first unveiling of our Project Clio. Project Clio, and hopefully, let me double check, make sure you can see my screen. We're going to swap that and turn the slide deck off. There we go. You all should be seeing a little prompt here on my screen. This is Project Clio. Project Clio is built on ChatGPT-4. So this is the newest iteration of ChatGPT. Inside Project Clio, I have a very simple task. I used to spend a lot of time, by the way, trying to think of social media posts and things like that. So for once, I want to let my brain take a break and let Project Clio, who's running on ChatGPT-4, answer for me. I've told Project Clio, hey, write me a social media post advertising our webinar June 14th at 3 p.m. called AI Empowerment, Boosting Security and Efficiency in Business. Let's see what Project Clio says. And you can see, and just like that, I now have a social media post to put on my LinkedIn, Facebook, share all around about this webinar. What other things can Project Clio do, or ChatGPT in general? Well, the cool thing about Project Clio is Project Clio is trained on my technician databases. What does that mean? That means Project Clio can do basic tech support. How? Okay, let's start. How can a user reset their Microsoft 365 password? And Project Clio answers. Now, this one is a great example where AI has some actual little holes. It actually gave me the instructions for an IT technician to go ahead initially and reset a password for a user. Then it clarified at the bottom, if a user wants to reset their own password, they would need to go through the forgot my password process on the Microsoft 365 page. Just to give you guys context, Project Clio is generally designed right now for my technicians at Tabernacle Technology Solutions to use to answer tech support for customers. We're not unveiling it to the public quite yet as far as public general use. But that being said, it's pretty impressive that you can go there. So I can ask Project Clio to do all kinds of cool things. I could ask it, create a weekly newsletter to my customers about why cybersecurity is awesome in small businesses. Keep it light and educational. Let's see what it comes up with. And just like that, I have a newsletter. Now, what I tell everyone with anything that's an AI, you need to read it. Do not trust the AI to write things on the first pass without proofing it. So let's go ahead and proof it real quick. Subject, weekly newsletter, cyber protecting small businesses with awesomeness. Wow, it really took the whole awesome thing literally. Hello, customer name. Welcome to our weekly newsletter where we explore the fascinating world of cybersecurity and its importance in small businesses. We believe that cybersecurity is not only but awesome. So let's dive into this week's edition, discover why. And you can see here, it's got several sections all the way down, keeping everyone informed. That took me a grand total of 10 seconds. Now, like I said, I do recommend that you proofread anything that you ever put into an AI, but it goes to show we can automate such repetitive tasks or things that used to require some pretty creative thinking in a way that's passable now, even right now. It's pretty awesome and pretty terrifying at the same time. And a lot of people have some anxiety about this. Why? Well, let's start with the obvious stuff. The immediate future concerns of AI right now are heavily rooted in cybersecurity. There are real risks to artificial intelligence, especially generative AI. Right now, we are seeing use of introducing cybersecurity risks such as data privacy concerns, vulnerabilities. We're seeing a really huge gap in AI-powered cyber attacks. Imagine a cyber attacker, a robot that learns as it goes, launching an attack against a 5-person business. Absolutely terrifying. No human interaction. And dependence on AI systems, if we go down this road of using AI in everything we do, we run real risk if the AI breaks, of operational risks. If the AI doesn't work as intended, if it goes awry, we might not be able to run our businesses correctly. Oh, skip the slide. There we go. So let's give you a real example of some of these threats. Context. There is a tactic in the cybersecurity world. You've all heard of, think at this point, of phishing emails. Phishing emails are those emails where someone from somewhere tries to send you something to get you to click on something or do something, right? They're bad enough, but generally you can tell the difference between a real email and a phishing email if you're paying attention. They might have misspellings, the English might not be very good, or the context doesn't really make sense. Phishing emails are a threat in our world because there's so many of them sent out, right? Like it's a numbers game. Attackers might actually get you to click on something if they send you a couple thousand phishing emails. That's bad, but there's a whole other section of phishing that I'm really concerned about called spear phishing. Well, what's the difference between phishing and spear phishing, you might ask? It's pretty straightforward. A spear phish is an email written with you in mind. With you in mind. So it's someone who goes to your website, your social media, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your online website, your services, your customer reviews on Google, and they craft an email, spend time and effort to make an email that you're more likely to click. They might find out what kind of customers you have and pretend to be one of your customers, or a vendor that you pay on a regular basis. But the whole goal is it appears to come from a trusted source, and it's to trick you into revealing sensitive information like your password, and it's very effective. Spear phishing is one of the hardest things for cyber defenders to defend against. So you understand what spear phishing is. Why am I bringing it up? Well, let's talk about it. Let's use this story. Everyone loves a good story, right? Once upon a time in the bustling city of Techville lived a diligent employee named Sarah. Sarah worked for a reputable financial firm and was known for her meticulous attention to detail. One day, while sipping on her morning coffee and going through her emails, she received a message that appeared to be from her boss, Mr. Thompson. The email was perfectly crafted, mirroring Mr. Thompson's usual tone and writing style. It read, "Sarah, I need you to review this financial report urgently. There seems to be a discrepancy in our accounts. Please check the attached document and get back to me ASAP." The email had an attachment named financial_report.pdf. Sarah, being the diligent employee she was, immediately clicked on the attachment, eager to resolve the issue. However, unbeknownst to her, she had just fallen victim to a sophisticated spear phishing attack powered by generative AI. Sorry, hang on. On back one. The email, okay, sorry. Lost my slide. The email was not from Mr. Thompson, but from a cyber criminal that used generative AI to mimic Mr. Thompson's writing style. The AI had been trained on numerous emails and documents to create a convincing forgery. The attachment was not a financial report, but a malicious software that now had access to Sarah's computer. Being small is no longer a defense. And this is absolutely true now that we have generative AI. Generative AI makes it easy for these attackers to automate these kind of attacks. Before, our main defense was we're too small and there's not enough hours in the day. But we're talking about AI here. AI is meant to do repetitive tasks with creative reasoning, especially generative AI. When generative AI is in play, these things become pretty trivial for attackers to do. Let me check. We don't have any comments yet, so I'm going to keep going. These are the statistics that we deal with as cyber defenders right now. And this is before we even start talking about generative AI adding to the equation. Generative AI has brought a whole new field. But in 2019, before we had generative AI, just the AIs that already existed, we were seeing new malware every 4.2 seconds. That means a new virus, a new piece of malware is being developed every 4 seconds. That's a lot of stuff for cyber defenders to keep track of and try to defend against. 92.4% of attacks are now delivered via email. Email is still the number one way for attackers to get into your environment. We just did a whole story about spear phishing. Why was email chosen? Because everybody has an email account, and the hackers know it. The cyber criminals know it. On average, it takes 120 days to discover a data breach. That means when someone in that scenario we're talking about, when an attacker got Sarah to click that financial_report.pdf, statistically speaking, he's going to hang out. They're going to hang out. Sorry, I shouldn't gender assume. They're going to hang out inside that environment for weeks, maybe even months before they make a move. Reading, planning, calculating, trying to figure out, and you're figuring out where this is going, trying to figure out the best way to hack that business, to do damage to that business. 58% of malware attack victims are small businesses. That unfortunately makes sense. Small businesses, as politicians love to say, is the backbone of the economy. 50% of business is small business. And let's be candid, small business has not invested the same way big business has in its cybersecurity. And it shows because 60% of small and medium-sized businesses go under within 6 months of a breach. Terrifying. Terrifying. How do you respond to cyber threats, right? That's the big question we're asking right now. What do we do? If it's the hacker's job to steal your information and they treat it as such, that changes the game because they're treating this like a job. Used to be, if you always saw the movie with Angelina Jolie, right? The Hackers movie. It was a great cult classic. I love that movie. Everybody in trench coats and glasses, punk skaters, dark rooms with sunglasses on, or a hoodie, or the more modern images like a guy in a hoodie with a glowing keyboard hacking away in their room. That's not how cyber criminals look nowadays. Cyber criminals are guys in cubicles in high-rise buildings in Russia or in other countries that have international laws between us and them. They work 9 to 5, 9 to 6 hours. They have structures. They have some of these gangs have HR departments, and they've got a whiteboard up. Like I have one right over here within a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. They treat this like a business. And AI has just made their job so much easier. They can automate things like spear phishing. They can automate things like malware writing. They can write new programs making the robot write it. And because of that, the security landscape has changed dramatically over the past year. What are you going to do about these problems? We've got deep fakes. Have you guys seen those yet? I think, and don't quote me on this, but I recently saw a video clip where looked like it was the Terminator, but instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger playing the Terminator, someone deepfaked Sylvester Stallone on it. There was also a couple great ones a few years ago where someone managed to deepfake Barack Obama. What do you do when you can't trust the videos that are on your screen actually being the person they're displaying? When someone can take your likeness from a YouTube video or a Facebook live stream and just put it on a robot and make the robot pretend to be you. For me, what I think of is I'm doing webinars right now. What do I do as a business owner if someone gets my voice and calls my employees using my voice telling them to do stuff? Terrifying. AI-powered malware, I mentioned this before. There are programs now. Remember that 4.2 seconds? Well, now we have generative AI that can write viruses even faster. So every time we've got our antivirus programs or our endpoint detection response, we're finding these threats and going, oh boy, we're blocking them. Well, they're just going to make a new one and a new one and a new one. And we keep having to find them after they make them. It's like playing a giant game of whack-a-mole. You can't keep up. Antivirus can't keep up with that. On top of that now, the AI is somewhat aware. It understands context. So if it thinks, hey, this particular tactic isn't working, I'll shift tactics and go this direction. So maybe you have an antivirus program that managed to block the first round of malware. The AI learns, it adapts, and now it learns from the context. And all that is done, and just so you guys know, a standard ChatGPT subscription is $20 a month. It is incredibly cost efficient to use these tools. We're talking about economies of scale. Cybercrime is a commodity. I was just at a talk yesterday, hosted by ThreatLocker. Thank you, ThreatLocker. Shout out. Where the cybersecurity engineer put up a social media, it looked like a social media post, something from like a 2012 internet post, right? And it was a hacker posting his services saying for $700, he would take control of someone's smartphone for you. For $1,800, he would take control of all your social media and remote control of yours. All this flat fee arrangements like a contractor. It's commoditized now, guys. These attackers are operating like businesses and they're charging flat rates to rent out their services using AI to scale their businesses. All this begs the question. I said I'd ask you in 30 minutes. It's a little early. Is now the time to manage your risk? Does ignoring a threat make it go away? Because the threat's only growing every day. It was bad 2 years ago. Now we've got generative AI, which has changed the game yet again. The longer you wait, the harder it's going to get. So is now the time to manage your risk? And if so, where do you start? Let's take a second here and see if anybody commented. Sorry, guys. Nope, no one yet. All good. Check the other feed real quick. Okay, we're gonna keep going. So how do you get this? How do you make the right decision? You need to get the facts. You get the facts that you need to make the right decision. That sentence is almost reversed, right? How do you make the right decision? You need facts. You need data. You can't just make decisions based on fear, uncertainty, and doubt, FUD, right? That's not what we're trying to do here. You need data. How? You need to identify your current risk exposure. You need to know how likely and how susceptible you are to this kind of threat. Candidly speaking, everyone has different degrees of exposure to this threat, but some of us have more. It could be based on our computer equipment stance. It can be based on our current security practices. It can also be based on our employees, right? How aware are they of this? Are they likely to click that phishing email we described in that before? The cybersecurity risk assessment is now more than ever an essential tool to figuring out how to protect your business from growing cyber threats like generative AI can pose. It's a professional consulting engagement that investigates your current security position. It helps you determine how susceptible the business is to attack, how likely staff or employees are to enable or furthering said attack. It identifies physical and procedural weaknesses in the business that would enable an attacker with generative AI or without, and identifies the most likely at-risk business assets. Wow, that was a mouthful. Identify the most likely at-risk business assets. This is a little small, but you can see here we do follow a process for our cybersecurity risk assessment. And we share this because we're open about it. Our cybersecurity risk assessment starts with the executive sponsor meeting. We are meeting with the leadership of your company. We want to get a sense of who your company is, right? You are unique. Every business is unique. We want to learn what makes you unique. Tell us about yourself. We'll ask you about your security policies. Again, this is not a shaming game, right? Some people are going to have some security policies. Some might not have any at all. That's okay. We need to know. If you have an office or a physical environment or some kind of server, yeah, we're going to take a look at that. But we're also going to take a look at what we call the network. The network is not just your Wi-Fi. The network is your SaaS perimeter. You probably are using tools like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, Salesforce, Dropbox. We want to look and see how you're managing those things. We also want to see what kind of data you have, right? Some people have more data than others. If you're an HR consultant, you're going to have some data that's worth protecting versus a guy who's a general contractor. Usually everyone has some data, though, that they want to make sure stays safe and the hackers don't get to. Intellectual property review. We're going to look for anything that makes you unique that you want to protect. Attackers are treating this like a business model. You've heard of ransomware. You've heard of financial theft. They want to make money. So the more they can find on you that's special to you, they can hold hostage, the more power they have. We want to protect the business assets and figure out what they are and how to defend them. We're going to look at the user and systems. We're going to take a look at how your users are managing the stuff around the office. Are they saving their passwords to the web browser? Are they doing things they shouldn't be doing in their email on their own time or on their web browser, going to sites they shouldn't? We're going to go ahead and look at the dark web. The dark web is a fascinating and terrifying place in that it's this open forum. It's nearly untraceable, where cyber criminals can post like a social media thread. They have websites where they're on support forums. And more importantly, when they successfully breach a website or a service or a business, they tend to get a little showboaty after a while, or they tend to find that the data is not really worth it anymore after they sold and bought it for 6 months. So they'll dump it all over the dark web, and we know where to look for those things. So we'll take a look and see if any passwords are floating on there, if any usernames are floating on there, if any information that you need to be aware of that might have already been taken without your knowledge from a third-party service even is on there. And last but not least, we are going to run a team behavior test. That's generally done in the form of a sophisticated social engineering tactic. We want to see how your team responds to a genuine cyber attack. We use AI and human intelligence for that, so we can replicate real-world conditions as closely as possible. At the very end, it's a confidential report, of course. So we're going to sit down with you confidentially, provide the findings, any recommendations we might have. There will be a report, an executive briefing, and of course, a presentation. We like stories. We think it's the best way to communicate this kind of stuff. As well as, and of course, we'll also give you a consultation to help your executives, sorry, that's a typo, plan the risk management strategy for your company. We're not just going to say, hey, here's all this stuff and word vomit on you, right? Like, we're here to give you real data to help you make a good decision on what your actual risk is and how you can best address it. But it all starts with the risk assessment. If without the risk assessment, how are you going to make a decision grounded in data? You're not. You're not. You're not going to know how to do any of that because you don't have the data you need to make a good decision. Take action. Keep your business as safe as possible. So, out of respect to everyone who's attended this webinar today, we got some free stuff. On the screen is a QR code. You can either scan this QR code or go to the link in the bottom. That's a little bit blocked off, but it's also on our website, cyber.tabernacle.tech/quiz. Again, that's cyber.tabernacle.tech/quiz. And take our free mini risk assessments. This is for you at no additional cost to take action on your own business. You'll find 15 ways to defend yourself from our cyber criminal article, as well as you'll find our mini risk assessment for attachment as well. If you're interested in moving though to the full risk assessment process or just learning more, we have another QR code here for our free cyber strategy session. What that means is we are offering also a free session to anyone who wants to learn more about the cybersecurity stuff and AI stuff. That is a half-hour, no strings attached, no cost session between myself personally and you. And you can go ahead and reserve your free session at cyber.tabernacle.tech/cyber strategy session. Again, cyber.tabernacle.tech/cyber strategy session. You can also should be able to see all the links above the video on our main website webinar video, but you can scan the QR code and get that as well. I'm going to check here real quick to see if we have any comments, questions, or concerns. Looks like we are on the webinar page of our website. Let's see. No comments yet. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up today? Hold on a second. Yeah, that's right. So anybody have any questions before we wrap up today on our current webinar and topics of AI and cybersecurity? We are completely 100% all about answering questions. We have a philosophy here, which is we never charge to answer a question. So please feel free to take advantage of this time. I'm going to go ahead and mute for the next 60 seconds. Let anyone who wants to type a question, type it into the chat. Okay, welcome back. I'm going ahead and checking, and I don't see any comments at this time on our webinar feed or our Facebook page. So I'm going to assume everybody is at a good stopping point. I'll just end with this. I put the QR code up again. I really encourage anybody. This is, again, I can't stress this enough, free, no obligation, free mini risk assessment. This is a value that I think is well worth the attendance of a webinar. Go ahead and swipe your phone out, get signed up for our free mini risk assessment and free brochure. And as far as how to protect yourself, and as always, please do not hesitate to reach out to me personally. My name is Logan Edmonds. I am CEO of Tabernacle Technology Solutions, and we are here to help the small business community. Stay safe out there and prepare themselves for to adapt to the world of AI. Thank you as always. Have a great rest of your day and a great weekend.